Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna. I welcome you all for today's session, Gita Sandesh. I thank you one and all for participating in today's session. And I like to introduce a speaker. I request Raghunath Puri Das Prabhu to introduce today's speaker. Raghunath Puri Das Prabhu.
Yeah. Thank you, Govardhan Prabhu. It's a pleasure to see so many. Have joined for this session, and this opportunity I will take you to. Introduce our. Prabhuji, who is going to give this session to you, and I would like to say a few things before this session which you have joined. It's going to be a life-changing for you, and it will be a wonderful session for you for these 18 days. So, Prabhuji, his name is Krishna Swami Prabhu. He is basically a purpose strategist, and he has been a life coach at Institute of Human Development. Pathfinder, apart from being a registered medical practitioner in Panchagavya Ayurveda at yoga, and he's a multifaceted person. He has a multiple master degrees both in information technology as well as medicine and yoga. And his first master's degree was from Jawaharlal Nehru Technical University College of Engineering, Hyderabad. And then he further pursued his master's degree in IIT Delhi. And he has basically a fiber optical communication, one of the paper he has published in JNTU. And then he pursued his research from electrical engineering department in IIT Delhi. And he published various scientific journals and applied for patent on fault-tolerant and multiprocessor system. He's a medical practice degree. He has got a medical practice degree from Panchagavya Vidyapeetham, Kanchipuram, Tamil Nadu, and masters in yoga from Annamalai University. He's also, he's an agile and enterprise architect certified professional who worked in various companies in India as well as abroad. He has worked for Wipro, SCL, Microsoft for more than 2 decades. And these 2 decades he has been giving service. He was there in Seattle. And before he started his entrepreneurial and alternative medical practitioner journey back in India, he is based at Hyderabad. And his journey and association with ISKCON starts from, and basically the Krishna consciousness, he started from his, there was a Bhagavad Gita classes held in IIT Delhi way back in 1998. And since then, he has been connected with Krishna consciousness. Presently, he is based at Hyderabad with his Krishna consciousness wife, Sandha Devi Dasi. And he has a son who is pursuing his computer science from BTech Computer Science. And Prabhuji has been instrumental in giving many classes, and he has been inspiring many of the devotees. In fact, we have been going on through a lot of sessions which has been being conducted by Prabhuji. So you will be getting lots of inputs from Prabhuji. Wait for the class and just see how it gives you an input in your life as well as the sessions which goes on for next 18 days. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I will request Krishna Swami Prabhu to please continue with the class. Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji. I thank Raghunath Puri Prabhu for introducing, though I am not that eligible. So equally, Prabhuji and the others who are helping us in this particular endeavor, Govardhan Prabhu and Ashok Prabhu, they are equally qualified to give this session, but they have chosen me. So I am very indebted to them. It's an emotional experience getting in touch with devotees, and this particular Gita has really moved my life. How much it is impacted, I cannot really say. So while I was pursuing something in my life, I don't know what, and I was searching, and in fact, if you see in your life also, you are always searching for something. What is that you are searching is a big question, and a lot of people have not been able to address it properly. So just ask yourself, what is that you are really now looking for in your life? So what is that you are looking in your life is what is going to be a life changer for you. So as it happened to me that I tried to address this by going to various organizations. Could it be Siddhi Samadhi Yoga, Art of Living, or it could be Vipassana, the Buddhist way of looking at things, and to the extent of going and joining the Christian missionary of going to the church and reading Bible. So there are so many questions that were there in my mind. So that I wanted to find out. And the fundamental question is that, what is that I wanted in my life? So that question has been there probably from so many years. And these questions, whatever we are talking about, what are we searching for in our life? And a very important, pertinent question is that, what is the purpose of my life? So these questions have been addressed, and they have been very thoroughly discussed in one journal and one particular Shastra, if you wanted to say, and if you wanted to say it as a book, it is Bhagavad Gita. So with that introduction, I would like to thank all of you for joining today. And it really takes a lot of energy and effort to come to this session and attend these classes. And the first and foremost thing, the decision that you have made to do something with your life. Because Bhagavad Gita is something to do with your life. It's a life manual. So that is what you have made. I would say that please pat on your back, because this is wonderful decision that you have taken. I will try my level best with the help of my colleagues to justify in these 18 days, to give you that interest to pursue this life journey that you started to understand yourself, to understand certain things which will help you to have a meaning and a purpose in your life. So with that, I would like to take this opportunity and start this particular. So before I move on, I would like to ask you a few questions, and these sessions would be more of an interactive session. Right now, we are not opening up for audio where you can just unmute and then do it. We will do that by if you raise your hands, we will try to address that too. And at the same time, if you put it on the chat also, we'll be able to see that. So this course has been designed, and it is basically with the teachings of Srila Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya for this International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And we are dedicating this course to Srila Prabhupada. With his grace, we are able to get this knowledge. So before we delve into the subject, I just wanted to ask you and find out a simple and a basic thing that we have been asking, or we have been doing this, from our elementary algebra. So what is the length of the below line? It's no big brainer that the length of this particular length of this particular line segment is a plus b. And I wanted to ask you, what is the square of a plus b whole square? You might say, what is this? Why are we asking this kind of question? Are we in the Bhagavad Gita class or somewhere else? So, well, so again, the answer is straightforward. The answer is that a plus b whole square, we have been listening this for almost so many decades, some of you. A square plus 2ab plus b square. But how can you, suppose somebody asks you, how can you say that a plus b whole square is a square plus 2ab plus b square? So this is where our educational system has failed to inculcate that inquisitiveness to probe certain things at a deeper level. We are taking it at a surface level only, because the kind of education system that was brought to us is from the Macaulay education system, which Britishers have introduced, where this education system which was imparted to us, they don't want us to become intellectuals. They wanted us to become clerks so that we can work in their organizations. Now, this simple question, a plus b whole square, how is it that it is a square plus 2ab plus b square? If I ask little further, you may not be able to, and I myself, when I was asked this question, I was not able to answer with a very logical way. I'm talking about logic. I'm not talking more other than that. The logic behind, if you understand, and why, how is it related to Bhagavad Gita, we will go there. Now, if you see this is a plus b, this is a and this is b, this is a plus b, and this is also, this segment is a plus b. So now the square of a plus b is what we are talking about. And when you see that, when you draw a line here, this is a and this is a, the area of this is a square and this is b square, and the area of the other two is ab. So when you add it up, this is what you will get, a square plus 2ab plus b square. Now this kind of an explanation you will be able to get only when you are interested in knowing the facts. Until that time, nothing will be revealed. It will be just a mundane thing. What is a plus b whole square? It is just the same. It is like rutting things. Bhagavad Gita, though the 700 slokas are there in front of you, you might have experienced that if you get this Bhagavad Gita and start reading, nothing much will reveal at the surface level, unless and until you have that probing mind and somebody is there to guide you in that process. And in our case, the ISKCON founder Srila Prabhupada, the book that has been written, it is nothing that he has written something out of the sky. He is just given the right kind of a perspective to read this book. So that is what is more important, and what we are going to try in this particular sessions is that make you a better reader of Bhagavad Gita. Nothing that we are going to change the whole thing, but once you equip yourself how to read Bhagavad Gita, and that is where your life journey starts. It is not like and this manual has been a life changer for not for you and me, for people like Einstein, by people like Mahatma Gandhi. You name any other person who is renowned, who has not read Bhagavad Gita and who has not been able to get inspiration for Bhagavad Gita. So we will see that. And I will not go into the mathematical details right now, but similarly ask yourself this another question: how minus into minus is plus? This have not been addressed because we just take it for granted in our elementary algebra, but I'm not going into the details. This is a homework for you, so go into that. So okay, so now let's get to the matter. So why are we here? Can somebody put it on chat? Why are you here? Why am I here? What brings you to come to this particular forum today and attend these classes? What has brought you to come here? So to establish, to learn how to conduct our life. Oh, Anant Prabhu and Sri Lekha Mataji and Nishita Akhilesh, to know the purpose of my life. Fantastic. I think you made a right choice to come here, and we will try our level best to meet your expectations. So before that, I would like to offer my prayers to all the previous acharyas who have given us this particular knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So if you want, you can also join with folded hands. So that because this journey that we are taking, it's not based on our own endeavor. Our endeavor is required, but there is also a grace that is required. And if you have come to this forum, that means you have really done something good in your past life or in the current life, for which you have come, and now you are taking the shelter of this Bhagavad Gita. So I would like to offer these prayers before I get started to discuss about today's topic. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshurur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yuta Pada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sahagana Raghunadanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shrutabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Krupa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. If all of you can also raise your hands. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One more time, please. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim Tatkrupa tamaham vande Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhujis and Matajis. So, if you ask one thing, what are you searching in your life? We are all searching for only one thing. And we are searching for happiness. Whether that happiness you're searching in your job front, in your professional front, in your family front, or at a social front, or at a financial front, all that you are looking for, and you're endeavoring into that because you're looking for happiness in your life. And you're assuming or presuming that whatever I am going to do, I am doing it because that will give me happiness. But the question that you need to ask yourself is that, are we really getting that happiness in whatever we are doing? To what extent we are able to do it? But is there anything beyond this happiness that I am trying to see, where I will be able to experience the ultimate happiness in my life? So that is what this journey is going to tell you. What is that ultimate happiness? How do I pursue it? Whether I should pursue through my professional friend or my family friend, or combination of that, or combination of many of these things. So we are all trying to find that happiness in our life. So, but again, through while we are doing searching for happiness, we need to understand that what is the difference between ourselves and the other creatures, animals are there in existence, what God has created. So what is the commonality between us and the other non-human beings, and what is that difference that is there in the human form of life? So the Shastra says that ahara nidra bhaya maitunancha samanya metat pasubhiranam dharmo hitesham adhiko vishesho dharme nahina pasubhi samanaha. So what the Shastra is saying, that there are 4 things that are common between human beings and animals. So what are those common things? Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Ahara, nidra, bhaya, maitunancha. So these are the 4 things that are common between us and animals. Then what is the difference? So what is the extra faculty that we have, which we don't use? Then Shastra says that there is no much difference between us and human animals. And and Shastra is saying on and above it, you might have the facilities, what you have are much more better and luxurious than the animals. They might be eating anything that is available. You might be cooking and putting it in the microwave oven and using the fire so that you can prepare. But a sophisticated way, you are able to sleep, you are able to eat, you are able to mate, and you are able to defend. But again, this is what in a not so much sophisticated way an animal is also doing. So what is the difference then? The difference, it says that dharmo hitesham adhiko vishesho. So it says that there is a faculty called dharma. If you can utilize that, that is where it elevates you from the animal propensity to go beyond the animal propensity and qualify you really as human being. So human beings with their intelligence are better equipped to provide themselves with good facilities. That is what Alexander also tried to do by massing so much of things. But finally, he said, what all this has brought me? It has not given me few breaths of life which I wanted, because he just died with so much of wealth and so much of followers just by a mosquito bite. So humans instead must use their intelligence in search for the real happiness. So what is that real happiness? We will going to discuss that in greater detail. So if anybody has any questions, please do not hesitate to put it on chat. One of our associates will try to capture that and we can address them. So anything we do is for happiness only. We have seen that. And whether it is getting a higher education, job, family, retirement, and so many things are there. And now, but instead of getting happiness to the complete extent, it's not uncommon that we are getting happiness, but the happiness is not there with us for a long time. Ask yourself, when you got your first paycheck, when you did your job, how much happiness you had? And when you came, say, 10th rank or 2nd rank in your school or a college, how much happiness you had. But the happiness is not going to be there forever. That is only for a certain time. So we are, but ultimately we are all looking for that happiness, that peace. As human beings, we may pose a question: what is the cause of this sadness and grief? Sometimes we are also sad. We are suffering from so many other things. The current situation is prompting you to ask yourself why that modern technology is not able to help me in overcoming this particular pandemic. So why is that I'm suffering, and what kind of sufferings are there, which is what is discussed in Bhagavad Gita, so that you know the reality of where we are, what is the situation we are in. So these are some of the things that are common between us and the animals. So before we go into the subject matter, I would like to ask you, and which we have already posted in the chat, why you should read Bhagavad Gita. So some of the acharyas and some of the people who have read Bhagavad Gita have told that it gives us the purpose and goal of our life. And this particular sessions is also to help you to achieve these goals. Give knowledge of who am I, who is God, what is there anything called karma? What is this kala? And what is this prakriti, nature? So these are 5 things which are discussed in great detail. You can find solutions for any kind of social, emotional, spiritual, mental, relational, and many other issues in your day-to-day life. It's a manual, you could say, which a ready reckoner, where you can use it when you are facing with some problems. And we'll see that some of the great people, what they quote about Bhagavad Gita. It teaches the art of mind management. One of the culprits, you would say that who is not allowing you to be happy, not allowing you to do certain things in the way you want it, is your mind. And how do you tame your mind is what we need to understand, and we need to adopt those practices, what is recommended as per Bhagavad Gita. And the art of mind management is also what we get to see. It strengthens our intelligence, gives us the peace of mind, and satisfaction of the soul is what we will be able to get out of this. Uplifts our consciousness, so you can see the world from a higher perspective, not from your mundane perspective, from a higher perspective. And this is what we will be discussing in the chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita today. How do we get this higher perspective in our life? It's a very easy question, but how do we do it? So that is where we are going to. The essence of all Vedic knowledge and philosophy of life is given. So, and it can be your best friend, guide, on which you can depend in times of need. So it is, somebody was asking, what is this Bhagavad Gita all about? Can you put it in a very, see, you have told so many things, but can you give us an example? So Srila Prabhupada gives a very nice example. Suppose you bought a washing machine, a new washing machine which has got a sophisticated way to do things. Then I don't know how to operate. What do I do? What are the options that I have? Can somebody tell me what are the options that we have? If you have a new gadget at your home and you don't know how to operate, what do you do? Can you put it on the chat, please? Okay. Read the manual, Rishi Prabhu. Yeah. Suprabhat. Yeah. Thank you. Gopika Mataji. Yeah. So most of you are saying that it's a user manual. Is user manual the only way? Is there any other way that I do when I get a new gadget? Get someone else, Sujay Kumar Prabhu, very nice. So when suppose, see there, if suppose I have a new gadget, I have a washing machine, say, I don't know. So what do I do? First and foremost thing, what I will see is that, is there any person whom I can contact who can explain me about this? I don't want to go and open a user manual. I'm little lethargic because by nature we are all. So I would go and approach somebody. Can I approach anybody for that matter? Please tell me, please. Anybody on the chat? Whom I should approach? So I should approach not anybody who is going on the road and ask, oh, Arey Baba, can you please come and explain me? I go to an authorized person. I say a bona fide person who is representative of that particular manufacturer, and I ask him, and then only I ask him to explain. I don't go and ask any Nathu Gera, Tom, Dick and Harry. I don't ask. I ask somebody who is authorized. So similarly, if you wanted to approach to know about Bhagavad Gita, you need to ask a bona fide person. And who is that bona fide person? That is what we are going to discuss. And because you should not get fooled by what you are having in the TV channels. A lot of people come and say, yeah, I am a great scholar in Bhagavad Gita. I can tell you Bhagavad Gita from left and right, from 700 slokas from bottom. I can tell you without seeing all this. But what is the guarantee that he is a bona fide person? So similarly, we need to get this Bhagavad Gita as it is, directly coming from Lord Krishna. Because why we should get this knowledge from Krishna itself? Why? Because you have approached a bona fide person to explain you about the equipment that you wanted to use. Similarly, somebody manufactured us also. That manufacture has not just come by a biological way of mother and father mating. So it might have given that, but something has entered which is not, see, for that matter, we have so much belief on this modern technology, but modern science and modern technology cannot even manufacture a mosquito in the lab. Cannot manufacture mosquito in the lab. I have a reason for saying that, because they can't. So say there is something who is manufacturing us, and unless and until his intervention is there, you cannot come into this existence. And that is where you need to read Bhagavad Gita. That is coming from the Guru Parampara. We will see why is that it is required. Okay. So what is the purpose of my life? This is a $1 million question. So our purpose and the goal of our life is to be happy. Anandavayo Bhyasat. Vedanta Sutra says that we are all looking for Anandamayo Bhyasat. Whatever endeavor you're doing it because you are searching for that happiness. Our real nature is to seek that enjoyment. That is what everybody does. Bhagavad Gita talks about the purpose of life in great detail, which will fulfill that mission of yours to get the ultimate happiness in your life. What are the ways you wanted to enjoy? See, the Shastra says that there are two ways to enjoy. One is that self-centered approach. Self-centered approach where you are trying to do in the way that you wanted to do. And there is an absolute truth-centered approach. And why are we trying to go through these approaches? Because you wanted to find out, how do I really get this enjoyment? How do I get this real happiness? And these are the two approaches. The second approach is to act in harmony with the ultimate purpose with reference to an ultimate creator and controller. This is called the Bhakti Yoga. So I know we are touching upon the words which we have not yet discussed, but yeah, but this yoga is going to give you the real spiritual life. This results in actual permanent enjoyment. And I have experienced in my life, because I have done all that what I wanted to search for that happiness. I thought initially in my life, getting an engineering degree is what gives me ultimate happiness. So let me pursue it. I did work hard and went into an engineering college, did that. Then I thought, no, I missed going to IIT. So maybe there, once I go, I'll get my real happiness, and let me pursue there. And when I went there, I thought, okay, maybe I need to achieve certain things so that it gives me the intellectual happiness, and that intellectual happiness is the real happiness. I did that. Later on, I came to come to the conclusion that yes, this is all good, but money, without money, what happiness you will get? So they say that, what is that in Telugu? They say that dhanam idam jagat. So it says that money makes many things. And so I thought, then let me get into some IT company where I get a lot of. Can somebody remove the annotations, please? Stop the annotation. Excuse me, please give me 1 second. Prabhuji, from the back end, are you able to do it? Okay, disable, and I'm doing it. Okay. So I need to probably stop once to remove this annotation. So as we discussed, the way that the first way, the second way is the best way. This first way is basically, we assume that there is no God, no ultimate purpose is required in our life. It's like Dhammaradham, Mit Jaya Gam kind of a songs we play, and we go into do whatever the Nike slogan is there. Let's do it. Doesn't matter. Whatever you like, you do it. Because ultimately, sense gratification and enjoyment is the ultimate thing. There is nothing beyond. It's all about me. Hope we are always doing in the hope that everything will turn out the way I wanted. This results in hit or miss, short-lived happiness, and depression when it is over. So a lot of people just see why before they think that by taking drugs and taking to wrong ways of dealing with to get happiness, they get ultimate happiness, and most of the time they end up in depression. And this is the kind of definition for materialistic life. So how we should inculcate the spiritual life in our living is what Bhagavad Gita talks about. Why it talks about spiritual life? But actually, who you are is the inquiry. When you do, you'll get to know that what is reality and what is not so real. So, Albert Einstein says that when I read Bhagavad Gita and reflect about how God created this universe, everything else seems to be superfluous. So, Bhagavad Gita is one manual which has got solution to all the problems in your life. And none other than Mahatma Gandhi says that when doubts haunt me, when disappointments stare in the face, and I see not one ray of hope on the horizon, I turn to Bhagavad Gita and I get the solutions to the problems that I am facing in my life. So that's the beauty about the Bhagavad Gita. So before we dig deeper into this subject, I would like to recap what we discussed. What is Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita is a classic of timeless wisdom, a summum bonum of the spiritual truth. Bhagavad Gita was spoken 5,000 years ago by Lord Krishna to his friend and devotee Arjuna. Bhagavad Gita originally appears in the form of 700 Sanskrit verses as an episode of Mahabharata, a great historic epic in which it occupies chapters 25 through 42 in Bhishma Parva. Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all Vedic knowledge and is one of the most important Upanishads in the Vedic literature. One last thing before we... so Bhagavad Gita is also called by various other names. Can somebody tell me what is the other name that is given to Bhagavad Gita? You can put it on the chat, please. What is the other name that is given to Bhagavad Gita? I know I'm not rushing all of to the subject matter. I'm just taking that. Oh, it's called Gita. Okay. Gita Saram. Okay. Niranjan Reddy Prabhu. Sri Lekha Mataji. Gita Upanishad. Oh, very fantastic. Sri Lekha Reddy. Okay. So basically, so why it is called Gita Upanishad? See, it is the essence of all the Vedic literature has come in a nutshell and has come as Bhagavad Gita. So that is the reason why it is called Gita Upanishad. Very nicely, Varun Prabhu. It is also called the fifth Veda because you know that there are 4 Vedas. So what are the 4 Vedas? We all know that. Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda. All these 4 Vedas, Vedavyas has compiled all that, and Vedanta Sutras also he has compiled, and he has also came up with Mahabharata and Puranas, so that people who are not so much intellectual as in the earlier days, so they can take the advantage and get the essence of and purpose in their life. So that is the reason why it is called Gita Upanishad, and it is also called fifth Veda. Thank you, Prabhuji, Mataji, for your wonderful participation. It gives me so much inspiration to move ahead and discuss this subject. Please continue to interact. And in the end, please do not hesitate to ask any question for that matter, which is bothering you or which is what you wanted to inquire. So no doubt about it, we will open it up where you can come and take the audio and you can speak and clarify your doubts. So before we go, I just wanted to introduce you what is this scenario, like why did this entire Kurukshetra war has happened. We know that this war was very ghastly war, wherein hardly anybody was available and nobody survived. Only a handful of people only survived. So what made this happen, and what are the characters that you will find in Mahabharata, and to some extent you find it in Bhagavad Gita also. So this all started with one king called Kuru, and Kuru is the great grandfather of all these Pandavas and Kauravas. So the name was Kuru, and he had a son called Shantanu, and Shantanu married Ganga. And there is so much we have gone, and we have seen, a lot of you might have seen the B.R. Chopra Mahabharata and so many other Mahabharatas, and how Ganga finally gave Bhishma, who the only son, and why he got that name also we know, Bhishma. So after that, he has taken a vow not to get married, and he wanted to become a Ajanma Brahmachari, so not to get married. Now Shantanu got married to Ganga, but again that relationship did not last for long. Ganga had to leave to the original her abode. Now then in that melancholic mood, Shantanu met this Satyavati. Satyavati was a fisherman's daughter. But before Satyavati met Shantanu, her job was to run the boat from one corner to another corner of the shore and help her father to make some money. So that was her job. And she was a very beautiful lady and a very pious lady too. And she one day when she was rowing the boat and taking Parashar Muni, who is a very exalted devotee and a very exalted Muni, so he wanted to have a physical relationship with Satyavati so that a progeny will be created, and that progeny will make all the Vedas come into limelight. So that, and then Satyavati asked, how can I really fulfill your desire? I am not married. Then Parashar Muni, with his yogic potency, he says that I have certain yogic potencies by which you can become pregnant and still you will be able to keep your virginity, and and you will be not waiting for 9 months like that. Immediately you will get a son, because my ultimate aim is not for sense gratification. I wanted to give something to this world who can take up certain responsibility which is having a bigger purpose. That is where she agrees for that. And one of the things, as a fisherman's daughter, there used to be bad odor who used to come from her. She's a fisherman's daughter. Then Parasura Muni also bestows her, saying that always there will be some fragrance that will be coming from your body. So they get to beget a child called Vyasadev, and the Vyasadev who has compiled all this literature is that Vyasadev only. And again, putting again all entire 5 years of B.R. Chopra Mahabharata, I'm trying to put it in 5 minutes. So it is very difficult, but I'll try my level best to get you the picture about what is all this about. Satyavati marries Shantanu, but before the marriage, there is a condition that was put forward by his father-in-law, saying that only the progeny of Satyavati should be taking the throne, not Bhishma. And that is where Shantanu was not happy with that, but still then Bhishma goes and pursues Satyavati's father, and he arranges for the marriages, and he takes that vrata, Bhishma. The name Bhishma has come because he has taken that vow. So, and from Satyavati and Shantanu, there are two children that are born, Chitrangada and Vichitravira. So Chitrangada couldn't really live for long. So Vichitravira was also not could live for long again, and he couldn't really beget any children, but he just had to leave the body. So then Satyavati takes the help of Vyasadev, and with his yogic potency, he kinds of interacts with Ambika and Ambalika, and that is where they get beget children. And there is one more Dasi also in this picture, where she also begets the child with the Vyasadev's influence. Ambika begets Dhritarashtra, and Ambalika begets Pandu. So basically, Dasi, who was there, she also begets a child, and there is a reason why she has to go there and why she had to become pregnant. And Vidura, you see that Vidura, who is played a very prominent role and one of the very close devotee of Lord Krishna is Vidura, and he also is taking birth there. And at later point of time, Dhritarashtra marries Gandhari. Dhritarashtra is the elder one, and Pandu is the younger one. Dhritarashtra marries Gandhari, and Gandhari's brother is Shakuni. So they in turn beget 101 children. Is it 100 or 101? Anybody? How many children did Gandhari had? Usually we say Kauravas were only 100. Who is this extra one? Not 1,000. It was 100 only. Okay. Sujay Kumar Prabhu, very nice. Puja Mataji, one daughter. Okay, very nice. So most of the time we say that how many were Kauravas? 100 Kauravas. How many were Pandavas? 5 Pandavas. Actually, you know what? So there, the Kauravas, I don't know. Sometimes we may say that they are discriminating between girls and boys. Dushala was not counted as part of Kurus or Kauravas. So Dushala was one sister also they had. Duryodhana was the elder among the Kauravas. Dushasana was the next one, and Dushala was the daughter, and 98 other were also there. So here in the case of Pandu, he also unfortunately was short-lived, but again because of some the Shapa, he also was not, he was given a curse that you should not mate with your wives. If you have mate with your wife, you will no more be alive. So, but again, there was a situation where they had to, they beget. So before that, Kunti is a very pious lady, and she served some great sages, and she got certain boons, and that boons, she could use that boons to call upon any of these demigods and beget children from them instantly. And she just wanted to try that, whether this works or not. We also wanted to do sometimes, right? So she was very young, not even married. So she was like probably 14, 15 years. And all of a sudden she said and called upon the demigod, the sun god. And he appeared and he said, okay, I came here, I can beget you a child. Then she was surprised. How can you do that? I just wanted to just check out whether this is possible or not, whether this is real or not. No, what we can do, this is done. Now you have to get a child. Now immediately Karna was born and she didn't know what to do. So then she leaves the kid in the river. So then he is later on taken care by the class of people who are told to be lower class. They were taking care of the horses, and that's where Karna went. And later on, the situation came where Pandu was not supposed to have any physical relationship, but again, they need progeny. That is where Pandu asks Kunti to use her whatever boon she had, and that is where Yudhishthira has come, and Bhima and Arjuna. So these three were born from Kunti. And Pandu and Madari had children, Nakula and Sahadeva also. Putting all these things in one big simple words, Pandavas all five married Draupadi, and that's a reason why they had to marry all five. Draupadi had to marry. And Arjuna's wife, Subhadra is none other than Lord Krishna and Lord Balram's sister. You know that in Jagannath Puri we have Subhadra also. That Subhadra is none other than Arjuna's wife. And Subhadra begets a child called Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu is a great warrior, and we see that he single-handedly could have vanished the entire army of Kurus. So that powerful he was. And so the Abhimanyu marries Uttara, and the Uttara is the daughter of the kingdom where they had to go for 12 years of Vanvas and 1 year of Ajnatavas. So they have been in that particular kingdom, and that is the king's daughter who got married to Abhimanyu. And Parikshit Maharaj, who was played a very important role in the Bhagavatam. If you see, Parikshit had inquired, and that's where Sukadev Maharaj had to give the essence of the Bhagavatam and speak about Bhagavatam because of the Parikshit Maharaj, who was the son of Abhimanyu and Uttara. And that was the only child who was there that time, which Ashwadhama wanted to vanquish, or so he wanted to eliminate that particular progeny, not to continue. And but again, because of the intervention of Krishna, so that didn't happen. And Parikshit's son was Janmejaya. So that's the brief about the Kuru dynasty. Any questions anybody has? Okay, so I think we are running out of time today. So let me just check. Okay, so probably we'll stop here today. I know we did not cover a lot of things, but again, we do not want to rush up to the subject matter. But before we go there, let me quickly also put this across to you. What is the expectations and what is the purpose? So what is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita? To deliver mankind from ignorance. What is that which is one thing which because of which we are suffering? It is because of this ignorance that we have. We do not have clarity in our thought. We do not have clarity in our purpose of your life. So, and there is so much of confusion that is there in our minds. And that is all because the root cause of all this is because of the ignorance. It is said that if there is a dark room, how do you light up the dark room? Just getting a small candle or a small light will light up the entire room. So similarly, if you wanted to get rid of this ignorance, you need to take the light of Bhagavad Gita in your life. You need to imbibe the principles, the instructions that are given by Lord Shri Krishna, and that will light up in our life, and the ignorance which is there, the darkness that is there in our life will be removed. So that is what is ignorance, which is going to get eliminated when you read Bhagavad Gita. Because you'll get knowledge. When there is knowledge, there is no chance of ignorance. So you'll get that knowledge. The second thing is that to revive the eternal relationship between the individual soul and God. So how do I see? First of all, I don't know who I am. I don't know if there is a God, if he is existing or not. And if he is existing also, I don't know how to get connected with him. So to revive the eternal relationship between us and the Supreme Lord is what the purpose of Bhagavad Gita is. First of all, it will eliminate all the confusions that we have in our life. And the second thing is that it will give you or revive. That revive means you already have an existing relationship which you have forgotten. Why we have forgotten that relationship? Can somebody tell me on the chat? Why you have forgotten that relationship? Because you do not have clarity now that whether God exists or not. If he exists, who is that God? Whether it is Krishna, whether it is Rama, or is it Ganesha, is it Shiva? We have so much of confusion. Now, on and about it, some people say that no, you have to pray only to this God, then only you will be able to get success in your life. Then I go on to do that. So there is so much of clarity that we are a mundane society. Okay, Sushma Mataji. Yeah, anybody else? Due to many travels between different yogis, okay, run for materialistic pleasure, Rishi Krishna Prabhu. Okay, very nice. Yeah. Well, any last? Okay, we got connected to the worldly pleasures. Wow, that's really great. See, what has happened is that it is like this. First of all, understand that as per Shastra, as per Vedas, we are pure. Our consciousness is pure. It used to be pure. But what happened is that when we came into this material world, our consciousness got contaminated. The example given is that a rainwater, before it touches the earth, it is the purest water that you can find anywhere. But once it touches this earth, it becomes muddy. So what I need to do now, because the water got contaminated, so I need to purify myself. I need to filter it. So that filtering process, that building that right kind of consciousness where I can purify myself is what the goal of Bhagavad Gita is and the purpose of Bhagavad Gita is. Okay. So I really thank each one of you for taking that a plunge and a decision to know about yourself, to know about who is that Supreme Lord and whom to which I need to get connected, so that my ignorance, my confusion, my agony, my sadness in my life can be removed. So that is where we made the decision, and we have come to this forum to discuss about all this. And I am saying that discuss about all this, not that I'll just be speaking and you'll just be passively listening. We will do a lot of interactions, and it will be like a workshop in one way, that I want you to try certain things in your life and experiment with your life, so that you can experience and practically apply Bhagavad Gita in your life. Not that you just by heart some few slokas what if you buy out some few slokas? Is it going to do any difference in your life? Unless, see, they say that an ounce of practice is better than tons of theory. So the classes that the orientation what I've got is that especially from Srila Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of ISKCON, the way he has inculcated this Bhagavad Gita is that it's a practical way how you can apply in your life. So that is the journey that we are going to take. And I congratulate you all for taking this journey and make a start to make difference in your life. Because they say that if you're doing the same thing in the same way, nothing will change. So you need to stand for something in your life. And when you stand for something in your life, that is where you will get confidence and you will be able to achieve certain things in your life. So they say that disciple, the word disciple came from a root word, etymologically also from a word called discipline. So unless and until you are disciplined, nothing can come in your plate. So for that reason, I would request you all to follow the norms that we have. Norms, not a strict norms like the school and colleges, but something that will really help you to take this journey. For instance, once you complete this session, go and catch hold of the Bhagavad Gita that you have and start reading from it. And put down the questions that you have. And after this discussion also, you will have a lot of questions. So note down those questions and reveal it out. And let's have the discussion. Okay. And once again, thank you all for joining today. We will join again tomorrow, same time, 6 a.m. But before that, we'll open it up for any questions that we have. Raghunath Puri Prabhu, can you just unmute if anybody is raising their hands? Ashok Prabhu, you can also do that. So if you have any questions, the forum is open for asking any questions. Yeah, thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, there were a few questions. I will request all the participants to join by the name, because what happens is that your mobile, is appearing and we are not able to know your good name. So there is a question: what is life from 108? And he has been responding.
Before we go on to the chat, I would like to open up the audio. Can somebody ask questions by unmuting? Can you raise your hand so we can unmute you? Because I wanted to hear from all of you. Okay.
Puja Mataji raised her hand.
Okay. So can you unmute her?
Yeah. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah.
So in the last slide, we saw that the purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to deliver mankind from ignorance. So I just like to understand what is ignorance with respect to us, like in what senses?
Well, the simple answer is that something which is not, you do not have knowledge, that means you have ignorance. It is as good as that. So suppose I don't know how to go to US. That means I'm ignorant of how to go to US. That means I do not have knowledge. So for that matter, if you see, I don't know how to lead a quality life. That means I am ignorant of leading a quality life. I don't know about how to be happy. I am ignorant of how to being happy. So how do I counter this ignorance? By knowledge. By getting the right knowledge, I can counter and get rid of this ignorance, the darkness that we're talking about. Yeah, Sri Laika Reddy Mataji.
Yeah. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my pranam. Prabhu, what happened to Shantanu after he gave birth to Bhishma and married Satyavati? Like, what was his future like?
So that is not very well discussed. Neither I know great details about that. But obviously, anybody who takes the birth, he has to leave. Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. So one has to leave. So he left his body at one point of time, and Bhishma took over. That's how the dynasty came forward. Yeah. Thank you, Mataji, for asking that. Any other question? Can you raise your hands? If nothing much, then Raghunath Puri Prabhu, you can read it from the chat. Yeah, Saranya Akula. You have a nice picture there with a curly hair.
Sir, good morning, sir. I'm sorry, I'm not in the way you all wish pranams and all. Sir, I am new to this ISKCON kind of culture. So, sir, if we order the Bhagavad Gita, will we get the book in this lockdown period, sir?
Okay, so what we are going to facilitate that right now, lockdown period, we might post it, and there are some few, the link was shared in the group. Once again, we'll share the link where you can order Bhagavad Gita for a nominal price. And along with that, you will get the few other goodies also, so that you can take. Because it takes time for that to reach you, and because of this lockdown, we don't know about that. We will send you a soft copy of Bhagavad Gita, a PDF form, which you can read, and you can as well. It is a physical soft copy will be available to you. Is that answers your question, Mataji?
Yes, yes, Prabhuji.
So where are you from, Mataji? Saranya Mataji.
Sir, neno Telangana lone sir, Bhadrachalam.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. So we'll please get in touch with any of our admins who are there. We will facilitate that. And anyway, soft copy will be sent to you. Okay, thank you. You can lower your hand. Thank you, Mataji. Any other questions before we go into the chat? Okay, so Raghunath Puri Prabhu, you go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, Prabhu. So there was a question from mobile number 108. So an auspicious number. Yeah. So he asked, "What is life?"
So what is life? Okay, that's $1 million question. You have to wait till you read or get through this particular Bhagavad Gita, then you will understand what is life. See, to understand what is life, you need to understand who am I? What is this material world? Why am I suffering here? What kind of sufferings are there in this material world? Why am I supposed to take birth again? If so, what kind of a birth I will be getting in my next life? If at all there is a next birth, reincarnation, is there anything like that? So all these kind of questions is what will give you clarity. What is life? What is life meaning, which includes you? Who am I? Who is Supreme Lord? So all these fundamental questions will be addressed. And please wait, Prabhuji, and you can get all these answered for sure. In the next 3 sessions, you will get everything for sure.
Yeah, Prabhuji. And another question was how we train our mind, from same 108.
What is that, Prabhu?
Question, how we train our mind.
Okay, how we train our mind. That again, we will, Krishna gives you the techniques how to train our mind. And mind, I'll tell you one simple example. Our mind is like a monkey. And Shastra says that our mind is not just a monkey which was fully drunk. Nicely, it has taken alcohol and it is drunk. Just imagine what kind of a situation is that monkey. Not only that, it says that monkey, in that monkey's foot, there was one big thorn which was struck. And she's suffering and just jumping like anything. And on and above it, it says that monkey got haunted with a ghost. Imagine, that is the description that is given for the mind. And that kind of a mind is what you need to tame. You need to get in control. Not easy, not at all easy. Unless and until you follow the right process, you will not be able to control this mind. It is difficult, but it is manageable. It is possible to control. Just imagine, usually monkeys cannot sit on one branch for more than few seconds. It is keep on jumping. There is one monkey who is always sitting and just very quietly, peacefully there. Which is that monkey? Can somebody put it on chat? Yeah, Rishi Krishna Prabhu. Yeah, Gopika Kabra Mataji. Very nice. Hanumanji, that is none other than Hanumanji. So how did Hanumanji tame his mind? That's what the techniques are, because these are our role models for us. How do we become a devotee? How do we become control our mind and such that it becomes our friend? Right now, mind is not our friend. It is more or less acting as our enemy only most of the time. So how do you make your mind a friend? Because it has to be, it is an integral part of yourself. You cannot get rid of that. So how do you tame it? How do you see to it that it becomes your friend? Yeah, Prabhuji, next question, please.
Yeah, Prabhuji, next. Thank you, Gopi Sigdar Prabhu. I got your name, 108. Okay, so another question is, Prabhuji, Bhagavad Gita. Can we read Bhagavad Gita anytime, anywhere from Vinod Yadav Prabhu?
Can we read Bhagavad Gita anytime, anywhere? See, I will say one thing. If you read Bhagavad Gita, there are so many 200 to 300 versions of Bhagavad Gita. No, slokas are the same, but the uniqueness about this Bhagavad Gita, what ISKCON is giving. You may say that you are just marketing. Just because you belong to ISKCON, you are marketing, saying that Bhagavad Gita as it is coming from ISKCON is the authentic one, rest are all not authentic. I am not saying that. We need to understand that Bhagavad Gita, when it is going to come, it has to come from Guru Parampara. There are 4 authentic sampradayas, from where when you read that kind of that Bhagavad Gita, then it is good, and that is what will make you realize who you are, who is God, and what is your relation with God. Rest all will take you, the author may take you for any kind of motivation that he has. There are some Bhagavad Gitas which have been written how to stop worrying and start living, kind of a thing. Like Dale Carnegie's books. Similarly, management books have come for Bhagavad Gita. But you can apply Bhagavad Gita principles, but should not forget the ultimate goal of our life. What is the ultimate purpose in our life? That if you understand, then take and apply that in your financial situation, your professional situation, your career, your family, society, all that is fine. But you need to have the right perspective, right person to help you in this endeavor. I am just an instrument. And Srila Prabhupada says that I am like a postman. I am a postman and I just came to deliver the letter to you. But actually the letter is coming from somebody else who is the source. Krishna is the source. And you need to act as a postman. But unfortunately, people in terms of interpretation have written their own views. That is what will really will destroy the purpose of you reading Bhagavad Gita, and you will not be able to really get the fullest benefit. Yeah, Raghunath Puri Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I think we'll take one more question.
Yeah, then we'll end for today. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So, what age is required to read Bhagavad Gita?
Kaumaram. So, you need to start this as early as possible. See, this question was addressed by Prahalad Maharaj. Somebody asked, when should people read Bhagavad Gita? When can somebody tell me when did Prahalad Maharaj got this knowledge? At what age? Any on the chat, please? Venkatesh Prabhu, very well said. He started his spiritual journey or getting this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita while he was there in the womb of his mother. Who was his guru? Anybody? Who was his guru? Prahalad Maharaj's guru. Narad Muni. Supriya Mataji, thank you so much. Yeah, yeah. Gangannas Sindhu Mataji. Okay. Priya Mataji. Very fantastic. You are all very knowledgeable, and I know so that I would try my level best to impart this knowledge. I request only thing is that please attend all the 18 days. And after that, you make a decision whether you wanted to continue reading Bhagavad Gita and apply the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. For now, just make a vow that what may happen, I will attend these classes, 18 days, whatever is there, I will attend, and then make a decision in my life what to do. So just be open-minded with no other apprehension whether these people will brainwash me or I will become not any other regular way I'll be start thinking. So these kind of apprehensions are there. But honestly speaking, we have come here and all the volunteers who are there, Ashok Prabhu, Govardhan Prabhu, Raghunath Puri Prabhu, and lot of other volunteers in the background are there, whose only aim is that how to get this knowledge, what Krishna has passed on to Arjuna 5,000 years back, how it can reach you. And we are only endeavoring that. No, nothing. We do not want anything from you. Just become the recipient of what knowledge that we are trying to put it forward to you, and vet it out, ask questions inquisitively, and then accept it if you feel that this is appropriate. So with that, we will end. And before we end, we'll do 1 or 2 minutes of Kirtan. That is, and there is a reason why they are doing Kirtan, that Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. We will also discuss that at later point of time. Please allow me to do short Kirtan for a few seconds, and then we'll wind up. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय, श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. Thank you very much. See you all tomorrow the same time. Hare Krishna. Be safe and come tomorrow same time, 5 to 10 minutes before, and note down all the questions that you have. We will address them for sure. Hare Krishna.
this session you have